How's the other group going? I sort of took a break. I talked to David a little bit. He's like, yeah, we kind of started our own chat and stuff like that. So I'll probably look at rejoining you guys on the WhatsApp in like August or something like that. So
Cool. Yeah. Um, David is as informative and sort of keyed in as ever. I don't know if I know someone else with more energy that I know well
yeah,
who follows the stock market. So it's awesome to see. And then it's great to see Adam have more of a swing mindset and learn a little bit from that.
yeah,
So it's a good yin and yang, I think. But I totally get what you're saying. Sometimes I've found when I work a little less or I don't talk to people for a period of time, it somehow results in better trades, maybe because it takes some time to process and learn from others. And then you have to apply it to your own trading. What do you think?
yeah. I think that's pretty true. It was I would often take breaks. When I was doing like precision rifle competitions. We'd be on a hardcore training schedule, and then you'd sort of ride that edge of getting burnout. And so, yeah, and I'm sure you know that from hockey and stuff like that. But taking a break, sort of getting your mind off it, starting something else. You come back refreshed, and you make better shots, better trades, stuff like that. So I totally agree. Yeah,
Cool,
that's
man.
good, man. So the group's going well for you guys. I'm looking forward to joining back up.
Yeah. Um, I think it's helpful. We will never know, right? Because you can't really run that test.
Right, right. Not much data on that.
But I know for sure not having a group at all, you know, maybe no one makes it in the market. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. That's good. It looks
Moss
like Dave.
Moss is pretty keyed in as well. I don't know if you've come across him. He's in, Germany, so he's got a pretty sweet time zone as well.
What's he trade for pre-market? What time is that over there?
It's 10 a.m.
Oh, that's pretty nice. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Shoot. Yeah, does he have a YouTube channel? Because I saw the video you sent, but I don't know too much about him. But
I think he keeps a pretty low profile. He's posted a little bit on Twitter, but the name of his game is kind of less is more in terms of number of trades.
gotcha.
Took him like 5 years, he said, but now he exclusively trades like stocks that are up like 80% in the pre-market.
Gotcha.
It's incredibly disciplined.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. That's good. The Yeah, I think that's pretty good. But I've checked in on the Discord a few times, but my schedule's been crazy because we're looking at selling my fiance's house. I'm selling my house. We're getting married, moving up to India. So it's just, yeah, that's why I took off from WhatsApp because it was just too much going on.
Yeah, I
So
gotcha.
just trying to conserve energy, getting up at 2:30 Texas time. It's like, dude, I'm gassed. So I try to, any energy I have, just try to put it right towards trading.
Yeah. Have you come across anyone else who you've been learning from?
No, not really. I just kind of, no, I just sort of, I took a lot of courses when I first started. I took Dux's course. I took, man, I don't even know, Dux's Warrior Trading, Boiler Room Trading, which is a YouTube channel, Ricky Gutierrez YouTube, um, obviously Tim Sykes, and then just a bunch of like peripheral stuff. Um, Once I kind of got done with all the courses, I sort of just kind of figured out how I kind of want to approach the market, and that's pretty much it. I mean, I'll check out guys, but I don't know. I have so much research and stuff that I got to do on the docket that's where all my time goes, really. So
Cool.
yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm working on a new play right now. It's an intraday long play. So we'll see how that goes. Development, I'm probably like maybe 40% done with it. So hopefully we can get that playing, because the past 2 weeks has been pretty weak for straight spikes. So try to get that second play in so I can kind of supplement that diet. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
sure. That's makes you feel some comfort to have a long play in development.
yeah, definitely. Commission, like no locate fees. I mean, commission rates are like cut back by like 80+%. When you're doing intraday and long, I mean, it's essentially commission free. You can do TD Ameritrade wherever. You don't need like crazy specific brokers to do that. You could actually, this place specifically, it's a slower one. You could do it pretty much with a Roth account too. So
Robinhood.
yeah, you can do Robinhood too. Yeah, yeah. I had a Robinhood account for a little bit, like years ago, but I don't think I made any trades on that. So
Reed says he's faster on his phone than on his
is
computer.
he?
Yeah.
I think David told me that one time. Like David went to go visit him, and he's like, "Yeah, Reed just does it on his phone, like in the car." I was like, "Man, that's crazy," because they're more scalpers. So I'm like, "That's crazy that you can be that quick on your phone."
It's crazy. And he comes out with some of the best, sometimes the best entry.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah. That's crazy. Well, this is cool, man. So where do you want to take this podcast, you think? Or what gave you the idea to want to kind of kick this up?
Uh, well, in 2020, I started a TikTok. I don't know what I
Yeah.
was thinking, but that's what happened. And sometimes you gotta get your money up, not your funny up. So
Sure.
maybe I'll reignite that with a little more zoned in audience and try to meet people instead of just the super broad, useless, fun stuff. So
Yeah. Cool. Well, I hope it goes well for you, man. I mean, TikTok, I mean, obviously, that was huge. So, I mean, it's probably good that you got kind of involved with that and made some videos.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. There's folks who have really utilized social media well. They sort of have like a atlas of the trading world, and people can sort of use that map and find their way. But I don't know if that's like the best way to go. So, but
Yeah.
you're super inspiring and talking about having energy, getting up at 2 a.m. You got, family in the works and you're working. So, what's the best part of working in the oil field?
So oil field, so that actually kind of goes back to that's a little bit of my recharge actually. So what I do in the oil field, I'm more of a ranch hand. So I don't actually work on the pumps. The pumps are pretty dangerous. It's big machinery. I've had relatives die on the oil pumps themselves. So you really don't work on the pumps unless you have a couple of years experience. So I'm more of a ranch hand. I work for my uncle. It's a family owned business. So whatever ankle biter tasks that don't involve the pumps, that's pretty much what they have me doing. So simple stuff, painting fences, chasing cows that get out of the property, um, hog hunting if the hogs destroy the land out there. So hog hunting if they get bad. And I enjoy it. I think it gives me a good recharge. I get away from the computer. I'm outside. I like physical work, and so the computer, as you know, it's docile, and you gain weight, eat like crap. But going out in the oil field, you're detoxing, you're sweating, you're kind of getting that physical energy out. Probably similar to hockey. You kind of get in a flow state, and it's just a good recharge. I'm out there by myself, really good sunsets. That's where I go to talk to God. That's where I meditate. That's where I shoot. Um, so I do that. I got to go out there tomorrow actually, so I'll be out there for a few hours. But that's probably the best part. It's just really the break I get. I go out there, take a break, come back here at the end of the day, do a little bit of Excel, kind of review the trades if I took any, stuff like that. So it's
So,
dirty though. So if you don't like dirty work, I wouldn't suggest getting into it.
well, dirty jobs are some of the best jobs, some of the most useful and maybe underappreciated jobs.
Oh yeah. Did you ever watch the TV show Dirty Jobs Micro?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. But
Am I picturing it right? Is this if I picture an oil rig in a movie going up and down? Am I picturing that?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yep, those are oil pumps. They call them they're not oil derricks, they're oil pumps. Yeah, that's pretty much it. They look innocent, but you get up there and it's some of them get huge, like 20, 30 feet tall. And I mean, you can get your arm taken off easily with those, you know. So sometimes we have kids that like, you know, younger kids that want to explore, they'll come on the property and you know, they hop the barbed wire fence and it's dangerous because a lot of them just don't know how dangerous they are because they're not moving fast. They're slow, but they're super powerful. So if you get your shirt caught in it or something like that, like guys have been, you know, got amputated and all kinds of stuff. So you got to be really careful. But
Wow.
yeah,
Well, that's good that you don't necessarily have to do that gig.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I wouldn't mind doing it, but you know, I'm doing other stuff. So I'm not going to do the 2 or 3 years to kind of get used to it, you know.
Cool.
So yeah.
Was that the craziest thing that you've ever done, or have you done anything crazier?
Craziest thing, I would say, I kind of look back on my life. I did 6 years in the army. I really, there wasn't anything crazy that happened during that time. I didn't get deployed. I would say probably the craziest thing, I didn't necessarily do it, but that I had to go through was probably cancer. So I went through cancer twice. First time in 2015, second time in 2018. And that was just a crazy time, man. There's so many highs and lows in that. I look back on it. I grew so much in like personal development. Um, just the procedures, having to go under the knife so many times, the drugs I took, and just kind of the fun. Like there were just some funny parts in there that, you know, some of them were medically, you know, it's real medical, so it's pretty. Some of it can be gross if you got a weak stomach, but I would say that's to date, that's probably the craziest thing that's happened is just all the stuff that was involved with cancer, chemo, surgeries, waking up in the middle of surgery, you know, seeing them over top of me. It was like stuff, some things you'd see in your dreams, you know. Um, yeah, that's probably the craziest thing that's happened to me. But yeah, I don't know if I've necessarily done anything too crazy. I'm pretty straight. I for the most part I kind of follow the rules. I owned a motorcycle once. That was pretty good. I would kind of push the limits on that as a crotch rocket. So, you know, you can get going pretty fast. And no, I'm generally pretty fairly straight laced. So
Well, I'm glad you came out the other end.
yeah, yeah, for sure. It's probably craziest part of that. So I got my rib amputated and I kept the rib. I asked the doctor right before I went into the surgery. I was like, yeah, I thought of this idea. I was like, it'd be cool if I could get the rib carved into a cross as like a necklace, sort of like a memorial of going through it. And so I asked him before I went under the anesthesia, I was like, hey, do you mind if I keep the rib once you take it out? He's like, in my 30 years, I've never had anyone ask me if they could keep their amputated body part. So he had to actually ask his nurses, like, hey, can he do this? You know, and the nurses said, well, I think if it's for religious purposes, you can do that. So he allowed me to do that. So I still have my rib. I mean, that sucker's I had surgery in 2018, so it's 4 years just sitting in my freezer. And you know, me and my family joke about it, like, oh, if the we should bury it in the backyard, and you know, like the cops might see it and say, oh, like somebody's body's back here or something like that. So we kind of joke, but yeah, I got to get that carved. It's been sitting in there too long, but
Wow, that's I've never heard that.
yeah. So
You like to,
craziest thing, I guess, you know.
yeah, that qualifies. You like to blow off steam on the weekends and shoot, right? So, what's your favorite gun?
Let's see. Favorite gun, I would probably say is my long gun. So my long gun is a bolt action. If you watch Hollywood, it's, people call it a sniper rifle. It's just a, precision weapon that you use for hunting or anything like that. A couple days ago, actually, I was out in the oil field shooting. It's just fun, man. If you do reloading, you make your own bullets. I was out shooting at 1,200 yards, and it's fun to be able to take, when you make your own bullets, you can take your own creation and then actually get it to sort of do something you want it to do. So like hit a target, just like trading, you take essentially nothingness and you learn the skills, and then you find a pattern that you like, and then you start to develop something that can potentially make you money. So you go from you sort of create something that does something that you want it to do, I guess, if that makes sense, you know.
It does.
So I'd say my favorite's probably my long gun. I'd say the most practical weapon I have is the shotgun, though. The shotgun, I have three different barrels for it. You can do anything with the shotgun. If you're going to only own one weapon, I'd say get the shotgun. You can shoot birdshot, buckshot with it. You can change out a barrel in 20 seconds, and now you can shoot sabot slugs and do deer hunting out to 300 yards. So it's super versatile. They're cheap. You can get one for $300-400. Ammo's relatively cheap. The ammo for the long gun is real expensive. It's probably right now it's probably $2.50 a round, which is pricey. But ammo price has been going up, so it's kind of it's a little annoying. But yeah, do you shoot at all?
I shot a muzzle loader once.
Nice, nice.
Yeah. Yeah, my parents sent me to conservation camp. They're real into environmentalism. And
Yeah.
I didn't realize that that's what hunting camp is called.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's funny. So I've never. So was it conservation camp?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. I'll have to look that up. So where did you do that? Was that like in the boonies of like Montana or something like that?
No, it's here in Vermont.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. So Vermont question for you. Have you ever heard of um, um, what is the ice cream called? Ben and Jerry's.
Yeah, pride and joy.
Yeah, yeah, that's based out of Vermont. We had a neighbor who was from Vermont originally, and we had to do a school project, I think, when I was a kid, and they said pick a state, and our neighbors were from Vermont, and so I was like, oh, I'll just do Vermont. So that's where I learned Ben and Jerry's ice cream was from there, and so I called them up. They sent a bunch of these little samples, and so everyone in the class is like third grade. Everyone in the class got a little sample of Ben and Jerry's. That's one of the few. I don't know much about Vermont, but I know Ben and Jerry's is from Vermont. So,
Yeah. They got bought out by Unilever, but I think they retained the rest.
oh, did they? Okay, gotcha, gotcha.
So
That's cool.
what book do you wish you could reread again for the first time?
Let me think. So, there's a couple of good ones. I didn't really care too much about personal finance up until I don't know what 2022, probably like 3 or 4 years ago. And one of the first books I read was The Richest Man in Babylon. That was a really good one. But I think one of the biggest ones that really just kind of that I'd reread top five out of all the books I've read. And I'm a huge fan of Market Wizards, and yeah, I'm a fangirl. That's pretty good stuff. But I'd say The Millionaire Next Door. I think that's a great book and a super solid read. The author went to my church in Georgia, and man, a lot of good stuff. Have you ever read that one before?
I have. That one sort of matches your personality.
It does, yeah, with the data collection, and yeah, that I what I really like about that is it sort of shed some light into what most I don't know about most, but a lot of millionaires, it makes you rethink what is actual like I don't know, high net worth, or where should I be kind of putting my money? Should I be buying this super nice car? And I think what's cool about that book is it shows a lot of guys that are really worth a lot of money. They're not buying, some do, but most of them aren't buying like 20 pairs of shoes or four cars, stuff like that. they're a little bit smarter about their money. They buy one pair of shoes and they take care of it. They, use the same car for 10 or 20 years. And obviously you always have the guys that are more, um, more open to buying, I guess, nicer things. But, there's a guy in town here that, Wichita Falls is known for kind of the oil. That's why a lot of people moved here. He has a huge net worth, but you would never know it. He wears dirty overalls every day. He works in the oil field. I mean, he has enough money to just outsource everything, but he just has that hardworking mentality, which is what got him to where he was. And you'd never know that, he was worth as much as he was because he drives this old truck. And it's I think it's interesting because a lot of social media or Hollywood or whatever, they all promote, music videos like, oh, buy these things. And it's actually, a lot of the guys that are worth a lot of money don't do that, so that book was interesting to me because it sort of just shocked that, I guess, perspective that you thought people that were really rich buy a lot of nice things, and some do, but a lot of people you would never even know had a lot of money. What
Yeah.
were kind of your thoughts on that book?
Uh, well, it's been a minute, but what it made me think of was I go to this private equity conference,
Yeah.
and I remember hearing there's about 20,000 families with over 10 million net worth. I mean, that's a lot of families.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they're friends, they're community members, they're not on TV.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. I think some guy said there's the most, I don't know, millionaires in history right now, or it was some weird stat. I don't remember exactly what it said, but, or it's the easiest time in human history to make $1 million, which is cool in one sense, but then another sense, you're like, well, shoot, I'm not there. So it makes you feel like, dang, I'm missing out or something. Like, what am I doing wrong? But so,
Yeah, well, you're in a leveraged strategy in a field where it's attainable without luck coming into your path. So
yeah. Yeah. Hopefully we can leverage that, kind of get up there. So,
with that in mind, what's the worst what's the worst investment you've ever made? Whether it's
see, worst investment. So I would probably say this one didn't actually end up being a financially bad investment, but I would call it the worst investment because I didn't go into it doing my homework and it could have easily blown up on me. I graduated college, was in the army for a year and a half, and a lot of officers in the army, not a lot, I don't know, some guys do this. Essentially, the army will move you around every 2 to 3 years. And so, what a lot of guys do is they'll go to a station, buy a house, live in it, and then they'll rent it out once they move. So I said, okay, let's give that a shot. I heard real estate's pretty solid. But I didn't do really any homework on what's a good house to get. Just there's so many questions that you have to ask yourself. And even now, I'm not a real estate expert, but I know way more than I did when I first bought the house. And it was just, you just have to really kind of do your homework. And I think a lot of people, I think in the early 20s are motivated to kind of get out, graduate college, buy a house, just sort of go down the American dream kind of path. And I've seen a lot of people talk, post on social media and, oh man, it's cool. I got my house and, I'm adulting and all this stuff. But then it's like, okay, you got to pay mortgage. And now, hey, you got to deal with termites. And now, oh man, the shingles are coming off and I got to do upkeep. I got to pay for an AC unit. Like, it's cool to sort of, in one sense, brag like, oh, look, I'm moving up in life. But then a lot of people, younger people specifically, oh, like, I don't know what house poor means. And so you buy this nice 2-story house, but then you got, you know, okay furniture or whatever, because dang, I didn't know mortgage was going to cost this much because of property taxes and all this stuff. So I would say it sort of answers your question, but not really. It's, again, wasn't a bad investment, but it easily could have could have been a bad one because I just didn't do my homework on the property, and it was a good house, but I think looking at it in hindsight, I'm like, it's sort of like a trade you get into when you don't really know what you're doing, but it happens to go in your direction, and you look back and you're like, dude, that could have easily blown up in my face and gone the other direction. So yeah, I'm thankful that it ended up working out, but I'm selling it this summer, which will be good. So it'll be out of my hands and stuff like that. I owned it for about 7 years, which is, that's been fine. So
Congratulations.
yeah, I appreciate it. So it'll be nice to just start fresh and, not have to worry about who's going to rent out your house and, not worry about, renters blowing up your house or something like that. So,
Yeah. My extended family has had that trouble with renters.
oh,
And
really?
my cousins in Vermont, it's really friendly to renters. My cousins just bought a house sight unseen in Kentucky, which I thought was pretty a sign of the times. So
Yeah, that's cool.
I
That's cool.
guess that's more common.
Yeah, I'll tell you, in New York, things were kind of interesting when I lived up there because, and it still is, if you're renting, um, and I don't know if this was had been kind of the same with your family, but they're super pro, from what I understand, which is a little bit, but not too much. It's they won't like kind of if you're not paying rent, they're not going to necessarily kick you out. And they made a Netflix documentary, not documentary, but it's a show on like the worst roommates. And there's one guy, I think out of New York, like just really crazy roommate, but they couldn't evict him. And because like the renting laws up there, like they really protected the renters. And I was watching that thing to myself, like, geez, like that's crazy. If I had renters that were doing what he was doing and I couldn't do anything about it, like that's scary. So
Yeah. So what did you learn at West Point?
so West Point, I would say the biggest thing I learned up there was I think learning how to figure out how to get things done. Up there they pack you with a lot of stuff. We would take it was about maybe 20, 21 credit hours on average. And then we were doing military stuff, and then you had your sport that you had to do. And it wasn't necessarily difficult in the sense that the subjects or the things you had to do were tough, but it was just learning how to pack all of that into a 24-hour span and get enough sleep and balance your relationships and stuff like that. So I think the two things that really stuck out from West Point was time management. You learn how to prioritize more effectively up there, which I think is by their design. They sort of do it through fire. They teach you that concept. But the other thing too was just learning how to kind of get buckle down and get things done. Like cancer, for example. Like they don't have manuals on. All right, here's what you got to do. You can research. What are some foods I can eat or whatever that can help me through it. But at the end of the day, it's like you're the one getting the needle. I'd get the IV 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. And there's just a lot of things that you can't really prep for. It's probably similar to parenting. I don't have kids, but I hear a lot of parents that say you can read a lot of books, but it's like you don't really know how to parent until you're actually going through it. So I think just learning to kind of figure things out, like give yourself grace if you mess up. Trading's really similar. Like, hey, you got to figure this thing out. So give yourself some breaks. Know that you're going to have some setbacks, but ultimately, if you make a general plan of what direction you're going, adjust when you need to and kind of keep cranking, keep waking up, keep getting after it. I think generally things will kind of work out. They may not work out the way you think they will, but a lot of times, you'll get through it. So I think that's probably the two biggest lessons that West Point taught me. So
I think that's a pretty positive place to end it. Is there any thing that you might want people to reach out to you about or place?
that's a good question. Um, I don't know if anyone's going through cancer. I love talking to other cancer patients. I like helping them out. I had testicular cancer. So for guys specifically, it's a really weird topic. I noticed this when I was in the army, because it deals with kind of your privates and stuff like that. But once you talk about it and you sort of give more transparency to it, I think people feel comforted and they actually learn a lot about it. So, hey, if anyone out there that has cancer, you need somebody to talk to or some prayer, feel free to reach out to me and I'd love to chat.
Very cool. Well, cool, man. Hope to connect and hope that we sort of ride this market no matter where it goes. So
Yeah, I know it's been crazy. The past March was interesting, So I'd be curious to see how you guys are doing in the kind of the WhatsApp group. I'll be in there eventually, but yeah, with the whole Ukrainians, the oil, and then the precious metals were going crazy. I took some hits there, and it's like, man, it just March got like kind of tricky. But
yeah, there weren't a lot of big supernova plays
right,
when they came with oil. That was big. Marijuana never really materialized.
yeah, it kind of started. It started to heat a little bit up, I guess, and then yeah, you're right. Like nothing really followed through on that one.
I think that might be sort of par for the course for that sector, though.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember, like, was it a couple of years ago? I think around the time when Canada was thinking about legalizing it, like that was sort of like, I don't know, maybe similar to the crypto. Like everybody was buying into like, oh, like this is going to be the huge thing, and yeah, it's funny. So weed kind of popped up there and sort of died off like pretty quick. But
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I hope there's a common ground in the WhatsApp group where it's really useful to everyone and
yeah,
one can share an amount that makes sense, to their personality. It's super interesting seeing, you know, someone take a $500,000 position when I might be taking a $500 position, but they're still listening to you.
yeah, yeah,
And then you're seeing ducks take a $5 million position, and everyone's pretty much green the past couple months, but different dollar values.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely. We're all kind of in this journey at different points. So yeah, it's trading's interesting. It's you can kind of group up, with buddies, but at the end of the day, it's still you're kind of the one pressing the button. So there's some it's unique. There's some camaraderie, but at the same time, it's very independent. And you have to kind of die on the hill in a sense of what strategy you're going to use, what mentality, and how you're going to approach it. So it's kind of a cowboy mentality a little bit.
Definitely. Team sport where everyone gets their own score, I like to say.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
Well, sweet. Thanks. I hope this
Yeah,
is
for sure.
helpful for one of us, if not both of us, at some point. And I hope you have a real positive April and the going forward in the summer, that the house closing and is smooth and all that good stuff. So
Yeah, I appreciate that, Sam. Thanks a lot, man. Hope the podcast works out for you, man, and look forward to checking out. I get all of David's podcast updates, so hopefully I'll see you next on the what is it, the iTunes podcast stuff. So
yeah, thanks, Mike.
yeah, for sure, man. Well, thanks for the invite. Glad I was able to do an episode with you, and look forward to catching up. Again, things are going to be busy, but hopefully once August hits, I'll be back, kind of chatting a little bit more. So
Back on the road to a million.
hopefully, yeah, that would be awesome. But we'll see.
I think your risk adjusted return looks pretty smooth. So
I'm a boring trader, man. I don't, I just I try to keep it slow and steady. I like being a turtle,
that's
so.
just saying, you're definitely in the top sort of 0.5%, I think. I'm fairly certain. So
I appreciate that. Yeah, hopefully we'll see how it goes. I need to get the other plays going. Like I said, straight spikes have been good, but you kind of always need those two or three plays that you sort of rely on. I think David does. Last time I talked, he does a lot of the not pump and dumps, but he like shorts the influencers or whatever they call those guys.
yes,
You know, what's that?
it's just hilarious, like this industry.
Yeah, it's strange. You can make money in a lot of ways. You can lose it, but there's just a lot of niches. Like I couldn't do. I need to care more about the fundamentals. I do well with data. That's kind of my specialty. So it's funny. Like it's slow right now, and I'm like, man, part of me is like, maybe I should get into like shorting. What do they call those guys? Like stock influencers or something, like these fake gurus that pump it up. These pumpers. That's what it is. I'm
Yeah.
like, that's not a bad idea because David's doing really well with it. But I'm like, I don't know. It just doesn't really fit. Like, I'm not passionate about that stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah. I've certainly started taking a look, listening to those guys so much, reading David, because they're not wrong. Even in the pre-market at 8 a.m., it's like I open up YouTube, I open up Twitter, I do a few searches, and it's like, this is exactly what's happening. Make no mistake. And yeah, my data accounts for this, but I could just open up Twitter,
Right.
and instead of spending like hundreds of hours making this, my machine learning algorithm or whatever that has all these past plays, if I just put that aside and just took 5 seconds before I'm about to leave a trade and checked Twitter, it'd be the same percentage improvement on my results probably.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's interesting. It's a lot of little niches out there in the market, and I think finding what your niche is part of the challenge, especially beginning. I know I went through probably 10 different types of plays before I went full in on pre-market, and I love pre-market even in the slow times. Like that's just part of it. But finding like that niche, once you find that niche and you're like, oh, okay, this is where I fit. The strategy fits me. That's kind of I think the big thing, because you're gonna have to live and die on that hill, whatever that is. If it's shorting pumps or panic dip buys, multi-month breakouts, pennies, whatever, options. A lot of ways to make money, but you have to kind of figure out, okay, what's that one that I'm just going to commit so much time to and just master. So, like I said, I kind of blabber, but now thanks again for the invite, Sam, and I look forward to just catching up, man, over the next few months.
Absolutely. Thanks
Awesome.
again, and take it easy.
Definitely. You too, Sam. Have a good one.
Do my